Welcome to Jack of No Trades. Usually, I just start off with the same question. You're trapped in an elevator with somebody, and you have to kind of give in a nutshell, who you are and what do you do. How would you answer that question?
I started out as a musician as a child and studied it in college. And I say that I haunted various pipe organ lofts for about 2 decades as a gigging pipe organist. And then around 2020, I mean, it wasn't lockdown, it was never lockdown, but in the recommended time period that we stayed inside for the pandemic, I realized I really still wanted to act. And so I began acting. And so I've been doing that and producing TV shows and things like that ever since then. And yeah, so I think that's an elevator pitch. Not
Oh,
much of
that
a
works.
pitch.
So, did you always want to act, or did you initially were like music all the way? And how did you make that distinction?
Yeah, I definitely always had the bug, I always wanted to act, but I was terrified of it. And I did an open call audition when I was like 16 for a musical, and I froze. I managed to get through the song, but I just ran out of apparently they called my name to come up for the second round, but I was gone. I had like run away. And I did that for a straight play as well, like a non-musical in college, where I just did the first round, with like 50 other people, and just ran out. And my friends were like, "Oh, you got called back for the second round. Where were you?" And I'm like, I was
Oh
terrified.
no.
I did end up doing a musical as part of my music degree. We joined with a theater group and did a musical. So I have actually done a musical, but it was, that was like my only experience with acting until I like turned 40 and was like, oh, if I want to do this, I should probably start now.
Do
So,
it now. Yeah.
yeah.
Why? Because I would consider, music and acting, they're both performance arts. So you're standing in front of people and you're vulnerable in some way. What was it about music that was, I guess, less terrifying or safer? That
Yeah, safe is a good word. I mean, it wasn't necessarily less terrifying,
okay,
but
fair.
it was no, it's an interesting question. I'm sort of processing it now. I think I have been doing music since I was a child, and I think it was just so, especially started out as a pianist. Something about like facing the instrument and not necessarily the audience. And for me, music was a much easier thing to take in than say. I was always so scared of, and I wish I could go back to my young self and allay her fears. I was so scared of like forgetting my lines. That was my big thing, because
Okay.
I knew how, if I forgot music, I knew how to smooth that over and to so that the audience would like, unless it was another fellow classical pianist, like they wouldn't know that I had forgotten anything. So, but I didn't realize you can kind of do that with acting too. If you forget your line, you can sort of smooth it over. So I think I was just very intimidated by, and I was only considering theater acting at that point. So I was very
Okay.
intimidated by the memorization, honestly. So yeah, I think having worked actually mostly in like film and television now as an actor, I'm like, oh, there's nothing to worry about, because you shoot such short chunks at a
Yeah.
time that the memorization is like not that big of a deal. And you have so much downtime in between shoots, like you
Yeah.
can work your script and stuff. So, but yeah, I think I was just very terrified of facing an audience and like choking up on my lines. So yeah, that it seems very silly now, but it seems silly to me, but it was such a huge fear for me as a young person. So
Okay.
yeah.
So you start off with the music with is it piano and then into organs or
Mhm.
okay. Is your family musical or
Well, my grandfather played trumpet in like he was Polish, played trumpet in like a polka kind of band,
Oh,
and my
cool.
grandma, his wife, was a pianist and actually was an organist before she had kids and got married. So a very short career, but she actually did play in churches as an organist. She sang. I also sung in choirs since I was a kid. So I think mostly I point to her. But my both my parents are musical. My mom taught me to play the guitar, and my dad also. She also taught my dad to play the guitar. They've been known each other since they were children. So, so I do play the guitar, also kind of not very well. But yeah, so it's. But I was definitely the only one to take it as far as I've taken it,
Okay.
in terms of keeping up with it and turning it into a quasi career. So.
So you decide, okay, I'm gonna go for music. What were your first steps? Anything that you were like, this was definitely a big learning curve?
Yeah, I was like probably around 9. My When I was 10, that's like a big marker in my life. My grandma gave me her old. She got a new smaller spinet. She gave us her old like battle axe, huge upright piano that it's a massive instrument. It had a really beautiful low end. So I
Uh-huh.
just became really and it's in my electronic music now. I'm also like I just love the low end. I like actually just love the way it feels in the body, like lower
Mhm.
vibration. I actually she gave me some music, and we would go to the library all the time to like, rent VHSs because that's how old I am,
Wow.
and piano books, yeah. And so I pretty much rent. It's not what you call it with a library, not renting. You check it out. I checked
Yeah.
out, borrowed. There we go. Borrowed like every piano book that my local library had, and I would just sit there and painstakingly go through and basically taught myself how to read music. I would just be like, okay, that one is this one.
Ooh.
And it was just a very, very slow process. I'm sure there was a better way to do it. But I only had lessons off and on as a child, and then pretty much not at all as a teenager until I got to college. So it made me a very, very good music reader. I can read music like it's in English, basically,
Wow.
because I spent so much time just painstakingly. And I have to say, my family was so wonderfully patient with me. But I was the kid who was like, "Hey, let's go play," and I'm like, "No, I gotta figure this out." And on the piano, so it definitely became like, one of my BFFs, just like sitting down at the piano and figuring it out. Um, so learning to read the music and apply it to an instrument, I think was the
Mm.
biggest. It's probably the biggest learning curve for any musician. Is
Yeah.
just because it's like another language, and you just have to become fluent in it, or it's gonna be painful all the time. So, yeah, I think that was the biggest learning curve.
What was it about the music? Like what was your drive back then? Because that sounds pretty persistent. That's not
Yeah.
everybody has that discipline.
Yeah, it's funny. I was a very disciplined kid. I'm such a weirdo. I loved school. And I loved like just learning, and I was get annoyed at my fellow children when they would get noisy and rowdy because I'm like, you're cutting into my learning time. Like, don't you realize we get this for free? So, yeah, I think with the piano, looking back on it, and I was just talking to someone about this the other day, flow state, like when you
Hmm.
are doing any kind of creative thing, like whether it's athletic or artistic or whatever, you can get into this flow state of like, I'm just, I think you can get it into it with coding, like, so for me, I was just always chasing that flow state because even in the like very easy pieces I was able to play at the beginning while I was trying to pick through these like Beethoven sonatas that were way out of my league at that point.
Impressive.
I could still reach that flow state even with the simpler ones. And there was just something there, there's just something weird about music that I was like, there was some inner voice that was like, you've got to figure this out. You've got to learn
Mhm.
how to play and write music. You just need to do it. I have no idea where that voice came from.
Okay.
And and that's another reason why I was like, I'm just going to stick with music and not confront my acting fears as a young
Okay.
person. Because I was like, I need to figure this out. So that was, yeah, I don't have a coherent answer to your very good question, but it was just an inner drive that I just had to do music. So, and I've known a lot of musicians who just, they were just like, I don't know where it came from, but I just got to do it, like, so it was, yeah, mysterious but fun.
That's actually my favorite answer because I used to get that for dance for me of people being like, "Well, why do you dance? Why do you dance? Why do you do it?" And I used to get so
Oh,
frustrated and be like, "I don't think it's important to know why. I think it's important to acknowledge that something is telling you you want to do this and to follow it." And I did, and that's the point of it. That's
yeah.
it.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I've always envied dancers because I can't imagine the flow state with that. Like getting your whole body involved, those endorphins flowing,
yeah.
like I was the world's worst ballerina for like 6 months when I was a little girl. I truly like I feel like it's quantifiable, like the world's worst ballerina. But I always envy people that could actually like my sister was very good at it, and I was just like, oh, I wish I could do that because I imagine the dance is a whole nother level of flow. So I
It's
get that.
definitely, I don't know. You can still mess up at it when you're coming out of flow state and be like, oh, there, well, that I had it, and then there
Yeah.
went that A count, and now I'm just standing here as a
Right.
solo by myself.
Right.
So,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, we all have them. We all have the moments where like, okay, all right, how do I get out of here?
Yeah.
So you turn 40 and you said, screw this, I want to go into acting. What was the first step and why 40?
I think well, it was because I turned 40 in 29 late my birthday is in August, so late 2019, and then I got what we now are pretty sure was COVID in February
Oh,
2020.
I'm so
So it
sorry.
was this combination of like having this milestone 40, although I think the actual milestone is more like 43. That's when things actually start changing in your body and like the
Yes.
your fucks start to just disappear into thin air. So, but yeah, I turned 40 and I got really, really, really sick. I was sick for like 3 months
Ooh,
because no one knew what it was. By the
yeah.
time we figured out, oh, I bet this is COVID. But even then, they didn't have any treatments for it. So yeah, I sitting in my apartment, nothing to do, like because I'm just too sick to move, and I'm like, it's just one of those moments of like, what am I doing with my life, kind of thing. And I was like, I just really want to do this. It's like something I want to show myself that I can do. Like I can get over this fear, and I do the idea of storytelling in that very direct way because music
Hmm.
dance that's storytelling for sure in a
Hmm.
totally different way, but I was like I want to use words to storytell. So I bought a book, and Ivana Chubbuck, her last name's Chubbuck, I always get her first name wrong, Ivana or Ivanka, and it was The Power of the Actor, and I was like, oh, and I read that book, and then I started like Googling classes. At the time, I was living in Berkeley and found an online because that was the other reason why acting became possible in 2020 is like everything went online. Like,
Hmm.
I
That's
think in
right.
2026, we forget like things weren't online that much, like meetings and classes and stuff.
It's
Like,
true.
and they were really glitchy, like because I went as a remote worker in 2016 and like online meetings were so glitchy.
Yeah, it was pretty
And
bad.
yeah, so then 20, everyone was forced online, and then the company sort of figured it out, and now we're having this seamless conversation online. So I found some online acting classes. I am part time in the New York City area, so I would take classes when I was on the East Coast. I would take in person acting classes, and so from there, like taking the classes, that just opened up a bunch of avenues of like, well, you should try this, and you should try this,
Hmm.
and here's where you post yourself to submit to acting jobs because you can do that even if you're not represented.
Hmm.
So there's like several places you can go apply for acting jobs. So that was how I sort of got started, and then yeah, little by little, and then yeah, this year in March, I just filmed my own TV pilot. So it was like
Cool.
it was cool like how it just and that's what I like about acting in the film industry is it is very much about who you know. It is very much a
Very much so.
interpersonal yeah. So it was like the more people I met, the more opportunities that opened up to me. It was just naturally how it happens, which wasn't my experience in music in a way, but not as extreme as it was with acting. So then I was like, oh, I can produce my own thing and I
Hmm.
can write. I wrote my own thing and I was like, I want to write something because as a middle aged actress, most of the roles I get are like, you know, I call
Mom.
it sad mom or bad mom. I was
Yeah,
like, I don't
I
want to
know.
play a sad mom or a bad mom. I got a lot of, I still get a lot of auditions for really horrible mothers. And I'm like, man, you people, you writers have been through it. Because some of the mothers I have auditioned for, I'm like, I don't want to play this. But anyway, so I was like, I
Yeah.
want to play what I want to play. And so I wrote a character, a cranky witch. And I'm going tangentially way off your original
No,
question.
it's okay. Keep going. I like it.
But so yeah, I wrote a cranky 600-year-old witch for myself, and she's not anything, mom, aunt, whatever. Her family relationship is not part of
It's
who she is
irrelevant.
as a character. But I always caveat that saying like obviously mom roles, aunt roles, you know, grandma roles, which I have auditioned for, are important.
Hmm.
But like, I just wanted my character to be, it was about who she was beyond that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so she's a witch, and then she has a coven, and so yeah, we filmed it in March, and yeah, so it went really quickly. And I always say this when you've sort of I hate using the word mastered, but when you've become proficient in one art,
Yeah.
I feel like it becomes you skip a lot of steps when you go to become proficient in another art, you know,
Hmm.
because there's so much of your mindset you have to grapple with when you become proficient in an art. You know, there's
Okay.
so much of
Yeah.
your ego and your fears and you've grappled with all of that, and yes, they come back up in the new art, but it's you already have a process for which by which like what you said about, oh, if you know, miss a step in dance, or like if I miss a note, and it's like, oh, I know how to compensate for that now, so that the audience has a seamless experience
Hmm.
and is enjoying themselves. And so you take those lessons into your new art, and you don't have to relearn them. Really, you just have a different application for them. So yeah, it took me like 6 years to go from I'm reading a book about acting to I'm producing my own pilot that I wrote, which is not a brag, just a it's like that's how quickly you can move when have already become proficient in
Yeah.
something. So yeah, it was so that's I just gave you the whole story instead of the question you asked, which is how did I get started?
No, that's good. I mean, but how did you go from, so you're like, I want to act, and then you start to, for me, producing was such a nebulous, opaque kind of thing that I had to like figure out, I'm like, am I producing? Is this what this job is? Because it's such an open-ended question.
Oh yes.
Um,
Yeah.
how did you go into it? We were like, all right, we're just gonna like, what was your first step, I guess?
Mm.
And when it comes to writing, I can't write for crap. I've tried. I've tried. It sucks. It's terrible. Um,
That's me in dance. I'm like, so many dancers are like, you can. I'm like, no, you don't. You just
yeah,
try.
not being humble. It's
It's
bad.
just that we know our limitations. So, yeah.
But you wrote something and you put pen to paper and you made it happen. How did you, I guess, how did you get through any writing humps? How did you start? How many versions did you go through? Like, tell me more about like the beginnings of that.
I had I was in an this is a weird start to the answer. I was in an indie rock band for a couple of years with two very good friends. Well, three. We had two different drummers. They were all both good friends, but two of them became novel writers and had novels published. The band has since, we call it a hiatus. Someday we'll get back together. So they were writing novels, and I was like, I wonder if I can write a novel. And so I wrote like 50,000 words of a novel that no one will ever see. It was terrible. But that exercise of like, I'm going to write 3,000 words today, and it doesn't matter if they're good or not, I'm just going to write the 3,000 words, doing that for several days until I had like a draft-ish of a novel. Um, I was like, okay, so this is kind of how writing works.
Hmm.
And I had read many drafts of their novels, so I kind of understood like how the development of that happened.
Okay.
And so when I got to acting and I was getting these auditions, I was like talking to a acting coach, basically, and was like, I don't really have a reel that I'm happy with because I'm not seeing the kind of roles I want to play just to even submit to, let alone get cast in.
Right.
And she was like, "Well, you know, people have there are several companies that will write a scene for you based on the specs you want, and
Hmm.
then shoot it for you, you know, with you in it. So they're, you know, like real companies, REEL." And I was like, I wonder if I could like just write my own 2-page scenes because you know your real clips you want them to be kind of short.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just gonna write a 2-page scene and see what happens. And after having attempted to write a novel, writing a 2-page screenplay
It's like
felt like
nothing.
nothing.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
It was like, oh, it's dialogue only, except for a handful of action lines, and I get to just have fun with like, you know, I came up with 3 different scenarios. A lot of this came from, there's this actor named Dewan Johnson. He's been in a lot of different things, and he has a actors community called First Team Collective, and I've been a member of that for several years. And there's a lot of training in it, and one of them is write your 3 ideal characters. Like, you know, write a little what they
Cool.
call breakdowns, just like a little paragraph. Uh, who the character is and how they function within the world and what the world is. So it's like, you know, Paige is a lawyer in the 90s and she's, you know, got do whatever she can to get her results, that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
So I just wrote 2 pagers based on that, and I just very cheaply shot them on Zoom with some friends. And I was like, "Oh, okay, so this is how this works." I cast my little 2-pager with my friend.
Hmm.
I edited it and I put it online, and I was like, okay, so I guess I'm a producer now. You know, like it's, you know, like you said, it's so, and I've talked to so many producers in the TV and film industry, and they're like, yeah, it's whatever you make it.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
there is no definition. You're literally just producing something. So, and yeah, there's line producers and other kinds of producers, executive producers, but yeah, so that's boy, I think I completely lost track of your question. Oh, that's how I started writing. And then I brought in one of those 3 2-pagers. I took to an acting coach that I've been working with for a long time, Carrie Evans, who actually acted in the pilot in March. And I was like, she was like, I love this character. What if you wrote another scene? And
Uh-huh.
then for like several weeks, we'd be like, well, what if this happened? Okay. And then it just turned into a pilot. In the meantime, I've also been working with a writing partner on other pilots, and
Hmm.
she and I are actually writing a feature together. So multiple projects are all happening at once, which writing with a writing partner has been really helpful to hone the skill because it's not
Hmm.
all on you. Like you don't have to figure
Yeah.
it all out by yourself. So, and even with the pilot that I wrote, my acting partner, she and I would act the scenes together, and that's like having a table read every time you write a scene is so amazing because then you can be like, oh well,
Wow.
that did not work. Oh, well,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
really funny, you know. So it's like that's really how the writing came about. Yeah, screenwriting is just so different from like, writing a nonfiction book or writing
Hmm.
a novel. So
Hmm.
that's how it all happened.
Well, tell me about your character, your 600-year-old witch. Why is she 600 years old?
When I knew I wanted it to be a witch show because I was obsessed with reruns of Bewitched when I was a kid. It was on when my mom was a kid, and then she and I would watch reruns of it. So I would just, at the time, I really wanted to be Samantha or Selena, the cousin Selena, who's like the rockin' chick with the mini skirts and the black hair. But now I realize I'm actually Endora, which is Agnes Moorehead's character on there is the mom. But yeah, I was like witches. Okay, I want them to be old, like in Bewitched, because they always
Hmm.
talk about historical things that they. Aunt Clara was Queen Victoria's lady in waiting, that kind of thing. So I was like, how old should she be? I was like, wouldn't it be funny if she was roughly contemporary with Dracula, the guy that Dracula is based on?
Yeah.
And because I had it, because my mom's paternal side is from Poland. So I was like, I wanted her to be like Eastern European-ish, and I was like, okay, so she's Eastern European, and then the Dracula thing came in. So that's why she's 600 years old. It's a very random reason, but I just thought it would be funny. And if in the show at some point Dracula shows up and is, a funny villain or something, and my dream casting for Dracula is Jack McBrayer, who played Kenneth on 30 Rock. He's got a Georgia accent. He talks real funny. Always plays kind of the hick. I think that would just be so funny if he played Dracula because it's like not at all who you would
Not
expect to play Dracula.
stereotypical.
Yeah.
Nice.
So anyway, yeah, that's why she's 600 years old. So because I was a very goth. I wanted to be very goth when I was a teenager. I was too happy and blonde to really be goth. But I was obsessed with vampires and Dracula and goth music and stuff as a teen. So
I definitely went through an Anne Rice phase where
yes,
everything
I
I
read
read
everything.
was she wrote a book, I bought it. And I
Yes,
got, or I begged my mom to buy it.
absolutely. Yes,
But yeah, so
I
I
love
get
it.
that. Vampires are sexy. There's nothing wrong with those they I don't know. They always like you always like they have like the sexiest storylines. Like it's like, oh
Yes,
well, came
yeah,
from account something something. I'm like, it's what?
I know. Yeah, they're fancy. Queen of the Damned, man, that book changed my life. I loved that book so much.
It was so like there's mysticism in there. There's like it's like a kind of like poetic. It's kind of like it's I don't know. I love anything with that storyline. To this day, if you have put something like that in front of me, I'll watch it, I'll read it. I'm
Hmm.
interested, I'll listen to it. Like I'm like, okay, tell me more. I'm curious. Like
Yeah,
I don't know. I think they're just really fun and intriguing and different stories than like see Jane go down the street.
right, right,
Good
yeah.
at her job. Um, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like yeah, totally romantic. I think it tends to be. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's escapism in its purest form, and I love it.
Yes.
What is there anything so that you are on the hunt for as you're going into this phase? Like what are you hoping to build this pilot into something? Are you trying to just hopefully expand your criteria as an actor, or are you like kind of intrigued by the producing bug?
I never would have thought I would be interested in producing until I produced this, and I was like a junkie at the end. I was like, "Give me more!" Like, when's the next time I can produce something? In spite of the fact that while filming my pilot, which Amiss, I was like, which is a weird title, but people seem to have gotten okay with it. So I like, especially in the production days, the few days before, like key light and all that, and into filming, I was like, I cannot wait for this to be over because I had never been so exhausted in my life
Yeah.
than those days because I was, it's just exhausting, period. But I was also wearing like five hats, and I was the star of the show, but I had strategically written very few lines for myself so that because I knew I would be doing all these other things. So
Okay, that makes sense.
I wrote myself an easy part in terms of I know I can drop into this emotion right away. I wrote her cranky because I knew I would be low on sleep when I shot this thing. So that was strategic. Plus, I just like playing cranky characters. It originated as a showcase for, hey world, here's the kind of role I want to play,
Okay.
like from my reel. And then it turned into a concept that everyone that worked on it fell in love with. People are thirsty for a witch show that is kind of lighthearted. I wrote
Hmm.
it to be kind of lighthearted, like Bewitched is, or Abbott Elementary is another cross show I talk about. It's like dealing with difficult things in a very light way. I think
Yeah.
everyone that worked on it was like, "Oh, when's the next episode?" And I was like, "When do I win the lottery so I can afford to write?" It's like so, but I mean, honestly, that's something that it's in editing now. We're gonna get the rough cut very soon.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It went really quickly, which is nice. Our editor was able to start right away. So he's working on that, Joshua Friedman, and he also came in clutch for us. We lost our access to our equipment like
Oh
3 weeks
no.
before. And a friend, again, like interpersonal, someone who was working on said, "Hey, I know a guy," and then I called him up. And he's like, "We got you." Um, so yeah, Joshua crew me up, like literally saved our bacon. The shoot wouldn't have happened without him. So, but he's also now editing it. And so now, when it's done, we'll take it on the festival circuit. By we, I mean the director Artima and I. Who Artima is also a producer and is going to do the color grading, so she's very much in the like creative aspect of it. And then, yeah, it would be nice if we meet people through the festival circuit process
Gotcha.
who are like someone who would, I'm kind of open to its future. I would love to act in it, but if someone's like, I want to, a production company comes along and says, we want to pitch this to studios, I think the only thing I would insist on is being the showrunner, which I know can be hard to get, or a co-showrunner. I do want to be in charge of how the world is interpreted of Witch Amiss. I want to have my say in that
Hmm.
because I don't want it to be a sexy witch show. I don't want it to be like too dark. I want it to be like a family show that has witches in it and is dealing with the kinds of things that like Abbott Elementary deals with,
Hmm.
because it's partly set in a school, elementary school. So yeah, so that's really what my vision for it grew as we did it. So
Nice.
and in the meantime, I'm just like, yeah, what can I wanted someone to hire me to produce and I can or I produce something on my own. I really want to do a play at some point, so yeah, I might produce the next thing might be producing a play. So
Cool.
yeah, yeah, we'll see what where where the pilot goes. But yeah, that's kind of the the near
Division.
future for Witch and Miss is all that. So
Very cool. Talk to me about like what like you said that you made her like I know that you made her like for the pilot very a little cranky, kind of tired to help you with it. Is there anything that you were also just like I want her to hit this note or even another character you're like I just really want to hit this
right,
I don't know, mood or theme that you were like this is the theme. Like
right.
I have to touch this.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I what I want Heather's journey, that's my character. I want her journey to be one of I want her to sort of grow up, at least during the first season. It might be a multi-season arc where because she's been in hibernation for 200 years.
Okay.
She failed big time at something. We don't know yet what. And so she was like, screw it, I'm going into hibernation, which is in my world is something witches can do. And in a secret place. And before the pilot begins, Christy, one of the coven members, has found her secret place and woken her up, and she's very cranky about this. She didn't want to wake up from hibernation yet, which I get because I just love sleeping and I hate when I have to get up early. So
Same.
yeah, so I felt like that was relatable. And then they bring her in to help with something that's similar to what she failed at before, and she's like, what
Oh.
the hell are you doing? Like, why? I figured I failed at this before. Why are you bringing me in for this? And their whole thing is like Heather needs to, grow up and get her confidence back,
Okay.
because she's a strong member of the coven. And the whole like theme of the show is protection. Like the coven protects each other and protects the world, and protecting their secret. The witch magic is secret in the world of Witch Amiss, like it is in Bewitched, where so much of the comedy of Bewitched becomes, when it's not secret and someone accidentally sees it, and that's like the humor in it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I want Heather to sort of get over herself and really become a member of the group again, not feel so isolated. So I think that's sort of the theme is how to be in a community, be yourself and be in a community at the same time,
I love that.
is like a theme, the overarching theme of the show.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad that it resonates. I think we are in an era where we're all longing for community, and
Wholeheartedly agree. Yes.
yeah. So I feel like this is a good time to work on a show that's about retaining your individuality while being accepted in a community, which is a pretty amazing feeling.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What is one thing that you wish you had known? Because it's really easy on this side of it to be like, and then I did this, and then I did that, and then I
Right.
did this.
Like it was linear. Yeah.
Yeah, like it wasn't, like a lot of people think of creation as like this when I, tell people it's kind of more like
Yeah.
that.
Squiggle. Yeah.
What do you wish that I guess you could have, anything you wish you have known or something that you wish that you would tell somebody if they're like, no, I want to do that too.
Yeah. Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is just the mindset. I think I I wish that I like with my young, 20-year-old self, I wish I could go back to her and say like it's not such a big deal. like
Yeah.
like calm down. Like you can literally do this. You really can do this, and just starting from that place instead of am I going to be good enough? Are people
Yeah.
going to hate me? Will I be expelled from the group and die alone in the wilderness? Like the
Yeah.
crazy places that one's mind takes one. Just say, like start from I can do this no matter what the challenge. Like I can do this. Yes, it's
Hmm.
hard, and yes, things will get messy, but I can do this. And also, I think something that I had to learn was that it's okay and actually preferable to ask for help, from the right people and to have a community of people around you. Like you don't have to do it all by yourself. It's just
Yeah.
I'm at 100% talking to my 20-year-old self right now. Like
No,
you
that's
are
good.
stronger with other people, and collaborating and being in a group. So I think those are the main things, just mindset wise, that I would love to tell her. 20-year-old Meg is like, take a deep breath, calm down.
Yeah.
You can do this. And there are people out there who will, it can be hard. It can be hard to find your people, the people who
Yeah.
will work well with you and not be trying to manipulate you or whatever. Like certainly that is a danger, but especially when you're 20. But your people are out there and you will find them. So
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
What do you wish, I guess, or what are your hopes for like regardless of this pilot, just hopes for, I guess, I don't know, a year from now, 5 years from now, you know, 6 years ago, you were just starting this journey into this new world of acting and now producing.
Mhm.
What do you hope for in the next 5, 6 years from now?
I love to spend more time producing things for sure. Other people's things or my own things. A big 5-year goal is to act in a play. I really want to be able to say to myself, "Oh, I acted in a play." I actually did scene study for Jesus Hopped the A Train, which is a
Cool.
really interesting play from 2000, I think is when it was first produced. Philip Seymour Hoffman
Yeah,
directed it.
I'm
Yeah,
hearing
so
of
I
that.
played Mary Jane in a scene study class back in October, and I was like, the teacher, he and I have known each other for a while, James Wagner, and he chose the exact right character for me because he chose the scene, all our scenes. So I was like, it's a pretty simple play to put on because there's only really three main characters. There's another like a guard character, and it's a combination of dialogue and monologue. So
Hmm.
which I felt like would be an interesting challenge. So that's a big like solidified thing in my 5-year goals is put on that play basically. So
Cool.
it's like put on a play, but I kind of already know which play I want to do. And I have these ideas for like lighting, and because I as a musician I also want to write the music for it. I want music to be a big part
Cool.
of it because I like it when plays do that and incorporate music in a very strategic way.
Hmm.
So yeah, so like a concrete goal. Yeah, more it's just more like just as an actor, it can be so easy to become very passive about your career
Yeah.
because in a sense, you're just waiting for someone to choose you.
Yeah.
Like you're putting your best foot forward, sure, you're getting your great headshots and you're getting your reel together, but at the end of the day, you're just waiting for someone to choose you.
Yeah.
So it can become a very like embittering kind of passive endeavor if you're not getting chosen a lot. And I think most actors are not getting chosen a lot. So I
Hmm.
think for me, it's just finding ways to do my art in ways that empower me. So whether that's
Yeah, love that.
classes, putting on a play, making my own films and things like that. My writing partner and I definitely have some things that we want to put together, like some screenplays she's written, like short films and things. So just keeping myself on a project pretty much at all times to feel like okay, I'm doing the thing. I'm not just waiting for someone to pick
Yeah.
me. So yeah, and the music thing just always sort of running. I'm currently writing a friend's podcast theme song, and that's been really fun.
Oh,
So
that's fun.
yeah, so but the music has always and will always be part of it. So it's like, I don't necessarily have a big goals for it. It's just like I'll always be writing or playing music at some point. So that's just like always in the goals. So
We kind of skipped over your music a little bit, but how would you, I guess, define your sound?
I I've anytime someone's reacted to my music, I paste it into a file, and it's been described as my voice seems to be the thing that people really glom onto, and I've sung on a lot of different people's things. Space Mermaid. My mom says she did not come up with that. I thought she came up with that. Maybe I came up with that, but someone was like, Space Mermaid is like what my voice sounds like. And Enya is so I'm sort of like a darker Enya. It's very synth. I like programming synths. I like coming up with my own sounds and oscillators and all that kind of thing. Uh, so it's very synth. It's like dark synth wave kind of with female
Yeah,
vocals. Yeah,
I could see that.
so, yeah.
I listened to a little bit and I was like, okay, I could kind of I kept on wanting to say industrial, but I'm like, that's too dark. It's like a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
lighter than that. I was like a little bit more like, I don't know, ethereal than
Hmm.
industrial, but I kept on wanting to be like, it's kind of.
definitely listened to a lot of industrial music when I was a teenager, and I was very much inspired by it. So I can see why that is coming through for you. Ethereal, I think, is the number one word people use to describe,
I
like,
could see
if
that.
that's like, if there was a word cloud, that would be the biggest word. So,
That makes sense.
yeah.
I always wind down on my interviews with four very like abstract kind of questions. There's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. And I stole this from an old program called Inside the Actors Studio.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to love
Oh,
these at the
yes.
end. So don't worry, there's only four of them. What's what is your favorite sound?
The like 32-foot pipe bass note in a pipe organ where it's just like
Cool.
almost more of a rumble than a sound and you feel it in your whole body.
That's cool. What's your least favorite sound?
It's probably like mouth noises.
So like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
okay, like smacking.
Yeah,
Okay.
ASMR, I can't get on board with it. I can't do ASMR. I'm sorry. Like,
Same, same. For me, it just feels like someone's crawling into my ear, and like I
yes.
don't like it.
Yeah.
What is your favorite word?
Oh, magnificent. I love that word. I always
Good
liked
one.
maleficent because it was very much like magnificent. I just like, I don't know why I love that word. The way it comes out of the mouth, you know.
That is nice. Yeah, magnificent. What is your least favorite word?
Stupid. Don't like the word stupid.
I could see that.
Yeah.
And last one of these. What is your favorite indulgence?
My favorite indulgence. I honestly like my Saturdays I started to a few years ago treat them like my holy day, at least Saturday morning and afternoon, and I will just do nothing but sit and drink coffee and read whatever I want to read. Because I was in grad school for a long time and you're forced to read a bunch of stuff you don't want to read. So it still feels very indulgent to be like, I'm going to read whatever I want to read
That's
and do
awesome.
nothing else and not look at my phone. So that's, yeah.
And if someone wants to follow up on you, maybe, look into this pilot or get information on your music or anything else, how will they find you? Are you on social media?
Yes, I have a website, megwilhoite.com. That's also my handle on Instagram and which Amiss, Amiss. Some people have not known that word, which is interesting. But
Really?
yeah,
Huh.
that is, they're like, Amiss. I guess it's kind of like an old-fashioned word. I don't know. People don't really use it much, but that's the Instagram handle for. It's also witchamiss.com. You can find information about it there. So, yeah. So, my TikTok handle is stupidly long. It's Meg Wilhoite underscore Death of Codes because Death of Codes is the name of my main electronic project. I should probably change that handle. So,
It's
but
distinct,
it is.
They're
Yeah.
not gonna mistake it from anybody else.
No.
That's all the questions that I have. So we can wind this down. But thank you very much for your time and for being so open and yeah.